Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Ball Hogs PH. Another episode headed your way, coming to you from the Digital Fine Studios. My name is Aaron Untitled. To my left, you have Mr. Jinno Rufino, and all the way in Los Angeles, the one and only Mo Twister. Good.
Is that Coldplay?
Yeah, that's Coldplay.
Oh, they're here already.
They are in Manila.
They are here already.
They gate crashed my cousin's party.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they?
Where?
At Sofitel.
Oh,
That's
really?
What, yeah.
Did they did it on purpose,
No,
or
no,
they
they
were
were-
just happened to be there, and then you guys said, "Oh, they came by to my party."
Yeah, that's what my cousin
Yeah.
said.
come on down.
Right, of course.
Join me. My
Have some crispy pata. Welcome to Manila.
have some lechon.
Yeah, let's
sisig.
have some ball hogs. Let's take care of business right now. We got a lot of basketball to talk about. And we start out with the MVP race. All right, Mo, you want to take lead on this?
Again, the MVP race again.
No,
My
this
gosh.
is-
Yeah,
Surprise,
but listen.
surprise.
First of all, let's congratulate Russell Westbrook. He's one triple-double away from tying Oscar Robertson's single-season record. He should be able to get that with 6 games left. He needs 11 rebounds and 29 assists in 6 games, which sounds like a lock already at this point. If you look at Westbrook's last 5 games, which are all triple-doubles, 40, 13, and 10, 32, 15, and 12, 57, 13, and
That's
11,
crazy.
which is the most points scored in a
That is
triple-double
insane.
ever. 37, 13, and 10, 39, 11, 13. Those numbers are gaudy. My God. I mean, yeah, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They have not associated those numbers with wins. But at the same time, we've seen the Rockets drop 3 in a row before their win tonight, which kind of puts me, again, narratively speaking, right? Because maybe, 2 weeks ago, Harden was putting on the gaudy numbers and like, oh my gosh, he's got the triple doubles with the sexy points. But he's faltered of recent. And Westbrook's numbers are amazing in these past 5 games, and he looks like, again, a automatic to be able to average the triple-double. I feel like this MVP race, not that it's over, but he's starting to pull away and maybe locking this down. And I wanted to ask you guys, is this thing over with these numbers that we're seeing from Westbrook?
I mean, we saw it throughout the year. Between the 4, well, if you want to put Isaiah Thomas in there, 5.
He was there. He was in our conversation about a week.
Yeah. Well, so like every so often, a certain player would pop up, right? First it was Westbrook, then it became Harden, then a little bit of LeBron, Isaiah Thomas,
Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard
Yeah.
was the latest one, and then Kawhi Leonard, and then transition back to Harden a little bit, and then now it's Westbrook. I mean, it just makes for a very great story. That's why people keep on talking about the MVP race, because it's just that is so interesting. But obviously, because the last couple players that we've seen was the Harden, Kawhi, and Westbrook, and then all of a sudden, what we talked about several weeks ago about what these guys need to do in order for them to win the MVP award, it's kind of showing into what we said about Westbrook. The Spurs didn't get the number 1 seed from the Rockets.
Sorry, for the Warriors.
Sorry, from the Warriors. The Rockets. The Rockets have started to lose steam. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And Westbrook is about to average a triple-double. And of course, LeBron James and the Cavs have kind of faltered, towards the end of the regular season. And LeBron James has rested quite a lot of games.
Yeah.
So it's looking like the Westbrook thing is the one that's popping up. And with only 6 games to play, 7 games for some.
Yep.
It seems like it should be a lock.
Yeah,
There's a separation going on.
Yeah,
it
right?
seems like it seems like he's pulling away, and especially with Harden not playing today, I think it is. I think it's
The only way I could see this not being Westbrook's is with the last 6 games, the Thunder just do not win any of them. They drop to 7th, which is possible because they're only a game and a half above the Grizzlies as of today. And then Harden goes on some kind of run, and they, maybe they finish strong at 4-2, for example, the Rockets. And even though that doesn't get them the 2nd seed, maybe a struggling Thunder going into the playoffs will hurt their chances, or at least will hurt Russell's chances of winning this. But again, separation I think is starting to happen.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if Westbrook doesn't take the MVP at this point.
Yeah, and we're about 77, 78 games, 76 games done. And despite all of that, I mean, we've been talking about this MVP race for so long, and it's so awesome for the league and for the entire all the players that were in it, that only now we are seeing separation. I mean, we could have been seeing separation of this at the
But
All-Star break.
that's our opinion, though, because
Yeah.
we don't know. Like maybe the ones that are in charge
ones
will
the
still
voters.
value.
Yeah.
Will still value the Rockets' record, as Steph has brought up, and several other players or other opinions. I mean, the three of us think we're seeing separation here, but are we valuing the individual play, or are we more valuing the record and all of that stuff? Again, it's cool. 11 rebounds. That's all he needs in 6 games. That's really amazing. And I thought that was going to be the hard one, right? I mean, I thought the assists were going to be there. It's the rebounds that were the easier, achievement for him. And I know we were talking about this off air, how some of the guys, it looks like they're boxing, other guys out so Westbrook can get these gaudy rebound numbers. But man, it's there. It's real, and it's a week away.
Did you honestly think that he could get it? When we started seeing
When we
it,
first
when
talked
you go
about
back
it?
to one of our first episodes and you listen to it, we had him like, okay, he might be able to do it.
Well,
man, he's about to freaking do it.
I did say that I do want him to. I want him to do it. I remember this. I it's like my heart was telling me yes, my mind's telling me no. And well, heart wins.
Yeah.
Well, I remember saying the line, if he can get past Christmas,
Yeah.
averaging the triple-double, then he's got a legitimate chance at this. But where I was wrong was I said the assists are going to be there. It's the rebounds. If ever he's going to, falter, it's definitely going to be the rebounds because he's only, 6'4". It's he doesn't have the height for it. He'll tail off because he exerts so much effort that he's only bound to get either injured or tired because of how aggressive he plays. But look, man, again, in the last 5 games, we've seen him take it to another level, even though it hasn't translated truly into wins.
Yeah, and I hope that this is going to be something that we see for the next remaining years, that we have great chases for that MVP race all the way down until the very end. I loved it. It was great for the league.
Well, it's still going.
Yeah, and exactly.
It's still going.
And
so.
if this is the most separation we've seen from both of these players, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but what's funny is that we won't know, right, what's going to happen with the MVP race. And what's also funny is that even if the first round matchup, if the Rockets do indeed play the Thunder in the first round, then you have these two, Harden versus Westbrook in the first round, and then that's when voters start voting. Mm-hmm. That's when the media and then whoever else votes for the MVP start voting during that series. Then how can whoever is voting vote just for the regular season? Because they're gonna see the matchup. They're gonna see Harden and Russ go at it in the first round.
I know Mo is very passionate about this topic right here.
We all know that it should be just a regular season.
Yeah, because it's called the regular season MVP.
Yeah, but even you cannot not use the first round though. Like you will see it. And if you're a voter, even though you try as hard as you can to be objective and just say it has to be in the regular season, but how can you get away? How can you not mind what goes on in the first round?
I don't know, because again, I'll go back to something that Mo said both on and off air last week. I mean, let's say Houston wins, it's because they have a better team. It's not necessarily because James Harden. I mean, look at what Houston did today. I mean, they scored, was that
123 without James Harden.
Points, yeah, regardless if they're playing against the Suns. But, I mean, they could be a better team.
They are the better team.
Plus, I think the historical achievement that Russell Westbrook will bring to the end of the regular season, when that final game, comes to an end. Remember last season how the NBA season ended? We had Kobe saying goodbye, and the Warriors getting the best record of all time for regular season. There was a lot of fanfare around that. I think we're going to see the same amount of fanfare when we have Russell Westbrook putting an end to this historical NBA season for him. And I think that will carry over into with the voters, and not really a first round matchup, because the Rockets have a better team. And I don't really think the Thunder stand a chance at them, and the Rockets might get bounced in the second round against the Spurs as well. So we don't know what's going to happen come playoff time. And I think the voters are seasoned enough to be able to separate those two things. And Westbrook's achievement, because we haven't seen it in over half a century, is so polarizing that I think that's going to be the one that gets the vote, regardless of what happens in the first round.
Where did the Thunder play recently? Russ was getting all the MVP chants, and it was loud MVP chants. It seemed like the entire stadium was chanting MVP for Russ. I can't.
Was it at home?
No, it wasn't at home. It was somewhere. It was somewhere on the road. I can't remember.
It was either Orlando, Dallas.
Orlando.
Yeah.
I think it was Orlando.
Okay.
And
Because that's the night he did the 57, 13 and 11 again, which is the most points ever scored in a triple double. So that was probably where it was.
He's had all the different kinds of triple doubles, most points, shooting perfect from the field. He's just killing it. All right, speaking of killing it, the Rockets seem to be kind of struggling of late.
A little bit. They won today.
Well,
Well,
Gino, you want to take control of this one?
Yeah. Well, the Rockets all season long they've been superb. Superb because comparing to what they did last year. I mean, last year they kind of underachieved. Everybody thought last year they would take the next step after 2 years ago when they had a really good season. Last year they had a down year, and now they've bounced back. But because they've bounced back, it's such a big improvement from last season. We don't realize that this is actually a pretty good team. They're a team that was better than the way it performed last year. I think we all agree on that.
Yes.
But this year they've been so good with D'Antoni, with Harden, all in the conversation of Coach of the Year, MVP, and the Rockets among the top 3 in the Western Conference. Some would argue that they would be the 3rd best team in the NBA right now.
That's what you said last week. You said that they would beat Cleveland.
The way Cleveland's playing, yes, I wouldn't.
You're still standing by that?
I would stand.
Okay.
Unless Cleveland turns it up a notch in the postseason. But anyway. But they've lost. They've kind of sputtered here towards the end of the regular season. It's a little bit of alarming to me because if you're a Mike D'Antoni coach team, you want as much momentum as you can entering the playoffs. And this team, even though they've had a really good year, they're not good enough to sputter out towards the end of the regular season and enter the playoffs the way they seem like they're going to do. We don't know how it's going to end just yet, but it seems like they have 6 games or so to right the ship. But are these guys still have they exerted too much effort in their regular season that they're running out of gas?
Mo?
I don't think so. Listen, the 3 losses, 2 of them came against Golden State, who has an 11-game winning streak going on right now, and there are 3 games where James Harden has struggled with his shot.
He's also been hurt.
He scored 17 in that last game against Golden State. The shooting percentage, he's not gotten over 40%. I think the best he did in those 3 games were 36%. So the shot was off on the 3 losses, but you have to see the competition. There were 2 losses against Golden State and 1 against Portland, which is it's just high volume scoring team as well with a lot of shooters and very similar style, but maybe they don't have the manpower that the Houston Rockets have, but they pulled off a win. They're a playoff team. So I don't think I think the 3-game losing streak was not a big deal because if you see prior to that, they went on a pretty good winning streak. It was just maybe a bad 3 games for James Harden, much ado about nothing. They go up against Sacramento coming up, against Detroit that's struggling as well when they end the season against the Clippers. So I think, or was it? I think one of the games coming up against Clippers, and that's probably a better test on where they are right now, moving into the playoffs. But I think the 3-game losing streak is nothing, and they ran into a very hot Golden State Warriors team. I think Rockets are going to be fine.
The one thing that I will take into consideration here is something that actually Steve Nash said recently in an interview. He said when they asked him about resting, he said he always went into the playoffs tired. Mm-hmm. And he wished he would have had some days, games of rest. And if you're thinking, you hear that, you think of those Mike D'Antoni 7 seconds or less years. Now I see James Harden, his usage rate is even higher than what Steve Nash had. I mean, I am worried at how Mike D'Antoni, who has never been a good playoff coach, will be able to keep this going in a 7-game series against OKC and then go up against the San Antonio. Man, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And if he only rests Harden now, is that enough?
Well, that's what I'm a little bit worried about for the Rockets, right? I mean, it's I think because what Harden said about the MVP race, like he wants to play every game, he expects to play every game. I think that obviously he was talking about that because it was the conversation of the MVP, not necessarily the success of the Rockets.
Yeah.
But I think that fact that he's looking at it in that way that could be a little bit of a problem for the Rockets.
That he's looking more at the MVP than the title.
Yeah, partly that, but also the fact that even though if he's looking at the MVP more than an NBA title, he's still contributing for the team in order for them to win, right? But the fact that he's not thinking about the long term could be a little bit of an issue. Long term being the success of the Rockets in the postseason.
Oh well, what do you guys think?
I don't really buy that he's looking at the MVP award more than say an NBA title. I mean, he's been close in MVP races, and he likely will be in the future. I don't think he's had this much kind of success as the star of one team. We've seen them go to the finals, but as a six man. Now it's his squad, and he's able to kind of be a championship threat now, and I think that's where the biggest concentration is, and not really in the MVP award. I just don't think James Harden's that kind of guy. So, I don't really worry about the Rockets coming into the playoffs here. I think what we saw a lot in the regular season is what we're going to see in the postseason until they get into stiff competition. Like you said, D'Antoni's not a good playoff coach. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. It's just when you get to the playoffs, you play the best teams. And when these teams like San Antonio, that's got a stellar defense, if they go ahead and plan for James Harden, they're going to the Rockets are going to have problems because they're going up against an elite squad. They should be able to dispatch the Thunder rather easily, the way they have been steamrolling through this entire season against other teams. But come playoff time, when you go up against the big guns, I've never been really confident this whole season that the Rockets are going to do very well come postseason time.
And that's exactly
they just don't have the team for it or the style for it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was pretty much what I was trying to say with Mike D'Antoni is he doesn't have that many defensive schemes, and he runs it's practically the same offense that he was running when he was with Phoenix. Runners, trailers go out on the side, take that wing three. But when there is adjustments towards that is when you see that Mike D'Antoni is not necessarily the best playoff coach, that he can make different diagrams and plays to get other people ready and in position to score. Speaking of which, making adjustments, how will Golden State make this adjustment? Mo, you want to take this one again?
Well, the adjustment you're probably pertaining to is Kevin Durant coming back. What we see right now with Steph Curry is that he's having a lot of fun, back to the kind of the old Steph performances that we saw from his unanimous MVP season last year. Tonight, he hit 9 threes, finished with 42 and 8, and just every game in this whole 11-game winning streak that they've had, last time they lost was when he sat against San Antonio. Since then, he has been on fire, man. And it's just kind of a joy to watch the old Steph, old meaning last year's Steph, do all these great things and seeing it coincide with wins that the Warriors have this 11-game winning streak. So I kind of worry. I think it's obvious to say that KD is hindering Steph from being Steph, but should they ease him back, KD meaning, should they ease him back to not mess around with the chemistry or even what we see from Steph Curry? Because we saw Steph struggle at times this season. We're not seeing that now with KD on the shelf. So do you bring KD back right away, put him up there 37 minutes, in round one of the playoff, he's playing heavy minutes already? Or do you want to ease him back since they're playing so well?
Well, you ease him back, but not, excuse me, but not necessarily because they're just playing so well. You ease him back because he's still your best player, and you're going to need him come the second round. Maybe not exactly in the first round. So they have that a little bit of a buffer there. Maybe he'll come back with 2 games to go, just to get them some timing, and then the entire first round they'll ease him back. Maybe give him about 20-something minutes a game. They should be able to dispatch Portland in the first round, maybe 5 games. They should sweep them, but but maybe 5 games, just extend it a little bit, just give Portland a little bit of that chance. But it's not. I think the fact that as good as the Warriors have looked and Steph has looked in the past couple of games, I think they're smart enough they'll be able to integrate KD smoother than when they did to start the regular season, it went pretty smooth already. It wasn't. They had a few bumps here and there, but it went pretty smoothly. Maybe not for Steph, but that's fine. even though Steph's numbers decline the rest of the way in the playoffs, and they win a championship with KD as their best player, which he is their best player. That's fine. I think Steph will be happy, KD will be happy, everybody, Dub Nation will be happy, and that's the way I see it. I mean, the betterment of the team, if you ask me, is to have KD there, and even though it's fun to watch the Warriors now with Steph being Steph, I think it's more important to get KD the timing.
Yeah.
The timing and integrate it into the system again, but do it slowly.
I think
because of that.
Okay, I would want to ease KD in, but not as slow as maybe some might think. Maybe not 35, but if you can get him up to about 28 minutes, 29 minutes, get him a lot of run, and it's perfect that it would be in that type of series. I mean, if they went down to number 2 and they had to play Memphis, they would have to run with KD a lot more. I mean, he would have to run a lot more minutes. But if you go up against Portland, which will probably not have Nurkic back 100% anyway, and we'll talk about Portland again in just a little bit, I think that this is a great way. The one thing that I will notice here, and I wanted to bring this up, is remember a couple of weeks ago, or was that 3 weeks ago, we were talking about where in the world is Steph. Do you like this Steph more? Or do you like the old Steph more? When I mean old,
what do you mean? What's the difference?
The one that we were questioning. I mean, where's his numbers? Well, this guy was shooting blanks from threes.
Of course,
Yeah. Why would we want that? Why would we want a struggling Steph?
No, but what I'm trying to say is, I mean, if at that time KD was there,
well,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
But they were winning. Now they're winning more. I mean, are they better without KD or without him?
Oh, they're better with KD. That's.
They won a championship without him.
Well, I mean,
different team though.
Different team.
Different circumstances altogether.
Of course,
they're obviously better with KD. Like I said, I mean, they've been so fun to watch now, and Steph has been fun to watch.
So happy.
He does, but he looks
so happy.
He looked happy before, even with KD there. He looked happy. I mean, that's just the way.
Happy.
Well, because he's enjoying himself a little bit more now because he's playing a little bit better. But I think yes, he took a little bit of a backseat early in the season. And that's fine. That's to me that is fine because he's taking a backseat to the second best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
In KD. Well. So that to me that's completely acceptable that Steph will take a little bit of the backseat. But now that he's found his rhythm, he's found his groove, and I think that if KD comes back, KD's the one who's going to be taking a backseat. And he's going to be like, all right, let me ease my way back into the system. They've been playing great without me. And these guys are too good.
Coming back from injury, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, they should be fine. Steph will still, I think, this could be a little bit of a blessing for the Dubs because, first of all, you rested KD a little bit here.
Yeah.
And he's going to be coming back from injury. Steph found his groove. And I think KD's going to be able to integrate himself quickly. Man, these guys are gonna.
It's really gonna come down to Steve Kerr again, and he's a great coach. So
it's scary. It's really scary how good this team should be.
Mo, any last thoughts?
No, I'm just waiting for the playoffs to get started. I want to see these guys I want to see Kevin Durant back 100% because I want to see the Golden State Warriors be able to win or lose at full strength because that was always the storyline coming into the season is like, okay, how are they going to play with Kevin Durant, one of the best players in the NBA, on a team that just set the record for, the greatest NBA season of all time, at least regular season. So now there are no excuses that if they lose, it's because KD was hurt, or if, they win, it's because, KD was there. I just want them 100% there, and I want to see how special it can be.
Yeah, simple as that. Let's move on to our last NBA topic right now. And it is because that it's really hard to find a series that's set at this point. So let's talk about the bottom 4 teams for both conferences. And which team do you think is the scariest or has the chance?
You're talking about the bottom 4
playoff teams. Okay.
Yeah.
So to really push that series, maybe even take it.
Ooh.
And, maybe kind of pull a South Carolina on everybody. So for the West, that would be the Clips, Oklahoma City, Memphis, and Portland. You can even throw in Denver if you want to. And then in the East, it's Milwaukee, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, and Indiana if you want to throw that one in there as well. So which teams out of those on both ends do you think is really scary?
Well, in the Western Conference, I can't consider the Clips and the Jazz I mean, that's a 3 and 4 matchup right now.
4 and 5.
Sorry, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Like if the Clippers win that series,
Nah.
then it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not a upset. So if the Jazz win that series, even though they're favored, like I'd be more surprised if the Jazz would win that series than the Clips. So I would say the Clips in the West. I don't see a problem there for.
No, but if you take out the Clips, being that it's interchangeable, let's say the bottom 3 in the West.
Oh.
With Oklahoma City, Memphis, and Portland. You think Oklahoma City would have the best chance of taking a series?
I think the 3 teams in the West, even though the Rockets haven't looked like the Rockets in early part of the regular season, they're just too good. That they're so top heavy that there's the top 3 and then the rest of the Western Conference. So I don't see any of those 3 teams pushing the top.
Not even getting to 7?
No, definitely not going 7. Maximum maybe would be 6, maybe 5.
What about
I think the obvious answer in terms of which team, if you're not going to include the Clippers or the Jazz because they're switching right now, and obviously a 4-5 matchup is always going to be a lot more close in theory than say a 1-8 matchup. It would be the Thunder taking out the Rockets. I think the Rockets and Jazz seem to be closer now in tier of team than, say, the Rockets and the Spurs and Warriors are. You know, it's Warriors, Spurs, and then a big separation between everyone else. So if there's any kind of upset, I would see it would likely become from a Thunder beating the Rockets. I remember when DeMarcus Cousins just got traded, I had said, I think the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs now. I mean, look at that. They're getting a top 10 player. But if it weren't going to be the Pelicans, I thought it was the Trailblazers that are going to make the 8th spot. And I kind of was laughed at the time. Here we see the Trailblazers there at 8th. I think they're going to get slaughtered, though, by the Warriors because they have the big injury to their center who was playing really well in Nurkic. I think the dangerous team that you don't want to face from the bottom feeders is if the Denver Nuggets found a way to get back in that 8th spot. They've got a bunch of guys that can score. They have a budding superstar in Jokic, and they got home court advantage with the altitude. I think that's the only scary team of the bottom playoff teams that you would kind of want to avoid. But going against Golden State, really, it doesn't matter if you're 20,000 feet in the air. I just feel like the altitude is not going to help you. It's just, of that group, though, I think the Denver Nuggets were probably the best basketball team in that category.
I mean, I completely agree. I don't see any upsets in the first round. We will be breaking this down in the West. We'll be breaking this down hopefully before Holy Week, and we can get this the breakdown of the playoff matchups. But I don't know. I liked Portland. I really enjoyed watching them. I mean, they're 14-3 since the start of March. It's just so sad to see Nurkic go down. And when he was talking shit about Denver, that was so good.
Oh,
man.
they're gonna have a good summer.
Enjoy your summer, and then he goes down with a broken fibula. It's just like, dude, come on. In the East, I mean, you can't really talk about Milwaukee because again, that Milwaukee-Washington is a 4 and 5. Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Indiana. I think Indiana against Boston. I think Indiana might have a chance.
What's Chicago doing? Like what?
Winners of 4 in a row.
Yeah, but. Man, the Bulls.
No, but I've loved Miami, and I like that they were a strong and hot team. But I would love to see Indiana and Boston in the first round, and I think Indiana would have a chance against a much younger Boston Celtics.
Hey, if Miami was healthy, I think they would have a chance too. If they were healthy, I mean that means
Waits is there,
Waiters, Whiteside, Dragic. If these guys are all healthy and you put them into a first round matchup against the Boston Celtics, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this team, if the Heat were able to push the C's to maybe 6 games. If they were going to play Cleveland, I would say they could take maybe a game, maybe even 2 against Cleveland in the first round. But I think the Heat. If you look at if you ask me about between the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat and the Pacers, I would say the Heat because you really don't know what to expect from these ragtag guys that have just bonded together.
I like Charlotte too. Mo?
I have more faith in the Pacers and the Heat than I do Bulls, Hawks, or Bucks.
Yeah.
I just think.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
And again, because the Eastern Conference, I mean, like we saw last year, the seeding in the middle towards the bottom are all separated by like 1 or 2 games. It's not like, porque the Bucks are 5 seed and the Heat are the 8 seed, that there's a huge difference between those 2 teams. No, last season it was like 2 games difference in the seeding. This year it's 3 games. So they're not really, separating, the 5th seed is not separate from the 8th seed, which we'll probably see in the Western Conference, where there's like a 9-game difference between, say, the Clippers and the Trailblazers. So they're closer in terms of caliber of teams. So, with that in mind, I thought there were big expectations for the Indiana Pacers coming into this season because of the personnel. And I think that same personnel can still get it together come playoff time to be a scarier team than, say, the Hawks, who are in the 6th seed. The Pacers are 9th right now, or they're tied for 8th, but I would be more worried about seeing them than I would say the Hawks, the Bucks, or the Bulls. And, of course, the Heat I'm going to put on top of there as well, because I think the Heat can get dangerous, like you said, if the guys are healthy.
So, just off the top of my head here, if you could fix the bottom 4.
What do you mean fix?
To put it in like the way that you believe the strength of the team would be, to also have really good matchups, who would you have at 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the East?
Ooh.
Because, if it's only 2 games here and there,
order.
that means it's a couple bounces of the ball. Somebody making a buzzer beater that changed the way that the standings would look. If you could fix the 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the East,
I'd take the Bulls out.
And then you put Indiana.
I would take the Bulls out, put Indiana in. Excuse me. So I would go Bucks, Heat, Indiana, Hawks. Yeah.
What about you, Mo?
Yeah, I could buy that. Again, I'm not really particularly threatened by the Bucks. I think Jabari Parker not being there is such a huge loss. If Parker was there and they had Middleton back as they do, and we see Brogdon playing really well here in this past few weeks, and of course, Giannis being Giannis, and then even Monroe looked fairly decent this season, then I'd be terrified. I think they can't overcome that Jabari Parker loss. It's just too great of a loss. So I'm going to go with the Pacers probably at 5 or the Heat at 5. Kind of had Jinno had it. And then, the Hawks kind of at 8, Bucks maybe at 7. Like that would be my scary,
Standings.
Yeah.
Like seeding.
kind of standings, from best to worst.
That would be
I'm
a great
not a big
playoff.
believer in the Bucks at 5. I think they're going to get spanked by the Wizards.
Oh, I think so too. But it's just seeing Giannis in the postseason.
That's going to be fun.
It's gonna be. Really
Oh no,
fun.
I'd love to see him. I absolutely. I think the loss of Jabari is just too great of a loss.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from the NBA. Let's talk about the Gilas Pilipinas, as we will be, I guess, giving you guys a little update on who are these teams that they will be playing when the SEABA opens. First team that we will be discussing is Gilas taking on Indonesia. Now, for those that don't know, Indonesia will be bannered by 6'5" naturalized player Jamar Johnson, who won the Rookie of the Year and regular season and playoff MVP awards in the Indonesian League this campaign. Other players to watch out for are Indonesian former UE guard and PBA D-League veteran Ibrahim Engil Lopez, 6'7" center Christian Ronaldo Saitepu, 5'9" point guard Mario Woisang, who was U.S. NCAA Division II school from Fort Wayne, and 6'2" Oki Sanjaya and 6'2" Sandy Komiawan. I guess I probably butchered all their names there.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, killed them all. One thing is for sure that this team, it's a lot more impressive than we thought they would be, We were surprised that they had a team.
Yeah. I wasn't, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't even know Indonesia had a league.
Me too.
I didn't know they had a league.
I thought they were in the ABL and that was it.
That's what I thought. I thought, oh, they have an
I wonder
team.
if us laughing at Indonesia is how other countries laugh at us
Yes,
when
of
we
course they
find
do.
our way
Come
in. Yeah, just because parang napakayabang na. Oh, they have a team. Oh my God. Yeah, but next thing you know, they're going to be the stiffest competition we have.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
No. But it's I mean it's no matter what happens, who shows up for the SEABA tournament, and who sorry, when I say who, like among the Gilas team, right? It's you have to look at it as first of all, it's a tournament you have to win in order to qualify for the bigger tournaments in the FIBA calendar. But aside from that, they have to look at it. Gilas has to look at it in a sense that, yes, these teams may not be as good as we are. Let's be honest. That's really the truth. but they can't look at it that way. They have to look at it as a tournament that they have to win. Instead of thinking like, oh, we this is a team that this is a tournament that we should win easily. No. They have to look at it as like Mo, you always said that you have to send the best players. Maybe not necessarily send your best lineup.
Yeah.
But send a team that you could cultivate for the near future.
I actually this is something I could do every Monday if ever we're going to be taping. Then yesterday I was able to talk to a lot of the players that were part of the pool, and one person that I talked to was Junmar Fajardo, and I asked him what practice is like, because Mondays are practice day.
Yeah.
And he said it was really cool because him and Japet really only had a week off from winning the championship or being in the finals. They only had a week off. They said, we don't want to touch the basketball. We don't want to do anything. We just want to relax, take 7 days of just laying down on his bed and playing video games the way that Junmar does, and come back into practice. And they picked up the ball and they were right on the dribble drive again. Like it was nothing. There was no skipping a beat for this team. And when I was also talking to Raymond Almazan, and it's the first time that he's part of the pool.
Yep, which is good. He deserves to be there.
And he said that the weirdest thing for him about the whole entire experience with being in the Gilas pool is that he has to be friends with Calvin Abueva.
Mortal enemy.
Dude, those guys have been hating each other since college.
Yeah.
Like Letran and San Sebastian have not been friends.
No.
But now he said that the culture in the practice is so good. I am so excited for what this team can have.
But that's you mentioned, and I would put Calvin there. I think you need to get him more run. But would you necessarily put Japet and Junmar for the SEABA?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you have Andre, you don't really need. You can maybe put one of them, depending on form in the PBA.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're looking at it, you don't. I mean, you see Von Pesumal on the lineup, and you're like, man, this guy could probably shoot the lights out against this Indonesia team. But he's not in form in the PBA. It's kind of like when you look at the way that FIFA does it. When they see that their players are in form in their local leagues, they have a better chance of making it on the international days because they are better health. They're in better timing, stuff like that. Terrence isn't even in good form. Matthew Wright, though, has been balling. Like, this dude has set a career high against Ginebra. So, obviously, it's going to be so different to see how this team will be made up depending on the form that I see on the court.
But is there any way that maybe we are underestimating Indonesia? Again, I don't really know the history too much. I do know Indonesia has, getting back to them, they've taken basketball seriously. They were silver medalists in SEA Games 2001, 2017, 2015. They were second in SEABA in 05, 07, 09, 11. So it's not like there's just a team that doesn't know a country doesn't know how to play basketball. All of a sudden it picks one up. They have been taking it seriously for a decade plus now in terms of these competitions, SEA Games, SEABA. Now they're armed. Are they now armed with better players, naturalized guys? Is this something that we should truly be worried about? Or are we really doing what Cleveland, we accuse Cleveland of doing, which is kind of coasting because we have LeBron and Kyrie and all of these other guys that are supposed to be looked upon in Southeast Asia as the better players in the region? I
remember watching that SEA Games finals where Gilas, it was the cadet team that went. What was the name of that? Whatever. So it was the Kiefer Ray Parks, that team that went in Singapore. And when they won, they were up against Indonesia. And in the first half, Indonesia was, they were competing. But the thing is, now they have a naturalized player. Yeah, and this guy looks legit.
Yeah, but put it this way: every team, every team in the SEABA tournaments have improved throughout the years.
Yes,
and by leaps and bounds too. Mm-hmm. But from where they came from, to now, it's respectable.
Yes,
but we still should be head and shoulders above, better above.
And I will hand it to the the people that are running the Gilas program, because they know that these teams are getting better. Usually we would send college players. It's in the same way that the Team USA would send their college players for their qualifying. Yeah. Now we have a Gilas pool of professional basketball players recognizing that the talent is really out there around Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so that's why like you wouldn't put the senior guys. You wouldn't put all the senior guys in the SEABA tournament. You probably give a mixed match of some of the seniors and some of the guys who have spent time with the cadets, and that should be enough. But partly because you need to, you can't use all these guys that you're going to use in FIBA Asia. Because of health reasons and other reasons why players can't join the lineup.
So there you go. What do you guys think? Let us know. # BallHogsPH. We're gonna cut to a break. When we return, it's one-on-one time. You guys get to call us up and debate either Jinno, Mo, or me. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody, to Ball Hogs PH. We are now ready for your one-on-one, and Aaron Untitled, Mo Twister, Jinno Rufino, Ball Hogs. We bring in our guest caller for today, very well-respected man in the world of broadcasting and sports journalism, ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Principe.
He has good principles.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aaron. I'm so respected. That's why I don't have any show right now.
They're intimidated by your knowledge,
yes,
sir. That's what it is.
They don't want you to outshine them all.
Yes.
All right, sir. So
Thank you. This is an honor for me.
welcome to the show. You have a debate topic for us. What is it, sir?
Yep. I'd like to talk about the Lakers and their future with Magic Johnson calling the shots.
The future is bright,
I think
right?
that's an interesting topic to talk about.
Okay.
Well,
all
it's always interesting because it's
You
the
think
Lakers.
Gino?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Dennis, can you hear me?
Hi, Gino.
Hi.
Bro, kumusta?
I'm afraid of what you're about to say here.
All right. So
I can't
Dennis,
hear Gino. I can't hear Gino.
oh, you
can't?
can't.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Dennis? Hello?
No, I don't think you can. All right. Well, I'll give you my mic in case it's gonna happen. All right. So,
Okay.
Sir Dennis, do you think that Magic will succeed as president of basketball operations? Yes or no? Before you give any reasons why, yes or no, lang.
No.
No.
Wow.
No. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, Gino.
All right. Mo, what do you think? Do you think he will?
Let's see here. Well, Magic, who's not a great coach, but as an exec, I'd say fine. I think the Lakers are going to do fine with Magic. I'll say yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Jinno, what do you think? You think that he will succeed?
I hope he does.
No. Don't tell me what you hope. Tell me, do you think he will?
I think yes. I think he will.
Yeah, okay, so Jinno agrees with Mo, so you have two people to choose from. I will say that he won't succeed. But that's just me as a Suns fan. And an anti-Laker person for
But I
my
mean,
entire life.
what's the definition of success?
I mean, will they be making the playoffs in 3
is that
years?
is in the second year in his technically his first year, a year and a half.
He's almost dropping the ball on that third pick.
Why? Because they won 2 games. They won 2 games
All
since
right,
he's
so-
become president of basketball
So,
operations.
Sir Dennis, you get to pick. Will it be Mo or Jinno that you will be debating?
Jeez.
Okay, so
Take Jinno.
maybe with Mo-
Take Jinno. He's the Laker guy.
Can I pick Gino?
All right, you pick Jinno. All right, so here we go. Jinno.
Wait, Dennis, can you hear me?
I would like to test the emotions of Gino, actually.
That's my good friend Dennis Principe.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
So Aaron, why don't you switch microphones or something real quick, or like switch
We
seats?
just switched. Dennis, can
All
you
right,
hear
cool.
me?
All right. Can you hear Jinno
I
now?
can hear now, Gino. Okay, now.
All right. Fire
Kanina,
away.
kanina you couldn't.
Yeah, okay na.
Okay. Now
All
he
right.
can.
So, all right. Well,
so-
Dennis, you go first. Why do you think the great Magic Johnson is not going to be a success in Lakerland?
Well, I think I don't think Magic has the patience, to run a team like the Lakers, because we know very well kung gaano yung following the Lakers and how emotional their fans are, no. So I've studied the moves and the way Magic thinks about this team. Without a doubt, he's a Laker for life, But if you can recall, the times when he rooted for Byron Scott, as a savior, so to speak, when he was hired the last time. Remember he said that happy days are here again. But what happened after that? Apparently, he was not looking at the lineup at that time. It was so obvious that the lineup back then was not that strong, as compared to what he was expecting. So it was just a tweet, but I can say na yung thinking ni Magic Johnson is not yung tipong executive type. I think he's more of a fan pa rin ng Lakers. Now that he is retired. So it'll be tough, because being an executive is totally different from being a player. Because as an executive, you need to have not only the know-how, but the ability to control your emotions. And I think Magic Johnson is a very emotional type of person that it could, hello?
Yes, we're listening.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah,
Keep going.
baka mag-backfire kay Magic once yung time will come that he will be dealing with players, with contracts, and their agents.
Okay, all right. Jinno, why do you think Dennis is wrong here? You think Magic's going to do a fine job, as Laker
the
operations?
Truth is we don't know, right? That's the God honest truth. Which side of the spectrum you're on, we really don't know how good Magic will be as basketball operations. I think Magic will be the figurehead of the Lakers. He won't be the guy that's going to be dealing with the contracts and so on and so forth. Magic is there so that players will meet with the Lakers. Free agents will meet with the Lakers. They couldn't get any free agents. Some of them wouldn't even meet with the Lakers. With Jim Buss as the operations and Mitch Kupchak as the general manager. Now the general manager duties is not Magic Johnson. That's Rob Pelinka, who is also in his first tour of duty as a GM. He used to be a good agent at that. But the question here is about Magic. And Dennis, you pointed out that his tweets don't show that that he's an executive type, that he's a fan. Well, Twitter is supposed to be for fans. It's not really supposed to be for executives. And because he wasn't an executive of the Lakers during those bizarre tweets that his that he sends out to Twitterland, that make no sense. Like, oh, Lakers win, they're very good. Full stuff. So I mean, it's because he is and. He was a fan back then, and I love the honesty and the positivity of his tweets, but it's not exactly groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
But that's completely fine with me. But I can't look into that too much because he was just being a fan. He was being himself, and that's completely fine. When he rooted for Byron Scott as saying that happy days are back in Lakerland. Again, he's just being positive. He's rooting for his former team and a friend of his who was his teammate and he's won championships with. So obviously he's gonna say positive things about that. In his tweets, he hardly says anything negative, right? It's always something positive. He always tries to see the brighter side of things, and that to me is fine. So to say that he won't be a good, like, his tweets will show you it's kind of like a look into the way his mind thinks as an executive. I would say that's too much to put on those on his Twitter I guess account. But really the bottom line is we don't know how good they're gonna be. I mean, Will LeBron James have met with the Lakers during free agents when he was a free agent? Had Magic been there? We don't know. Maybe he would have. Maybe he wouldn't. But he does get the respect of some players in the NBA that that these guys would at least go to the Laker office and take a meeting with the front office. Now, we don't know if they're really if they would really sign. We don't know if who are the big free agents coming this.
Gordon Hayward, Blake Griffin, guys like that.
So, so we don't exactly know if
Derrick Rose.
Not anymore. Derrick Rose's not going to get paid.
We paused. Yeah. All of us are like, huh? But I mean, the bottom line is we don't know. But I do think that he's at the very least gonna get the face-to-face meetings.
My question is, when he made that tweet and when he was making those interviews, do you believe that he's not eyeing any position or that he's not eyeing any being part of the team?
Sorry, say that again. He's not eyeing what part of the team?
Any position during that time?
Which
You think
time?
he was just being a casual fan?
Which time?
No, whatever you would tweet.
Huh?
Whatever you would tweet.
Yeah, when he tweets, what did he?
When
Sorry,
he was doing those, when he was doing those interviews.
Okay. I guess he's trying to.
Yeah,
say
and you're saying that Magic. I don't really follow the drama over there in terms of front office decisions with the Lakers. But you're saying that Magic said he didn't want any position, or you didn't think he was going to get a position?
No, I believe he wanted to be part of the team in an official capacity.
Oh, so you're saying,
around
Dennis,
that time.
yeah, you're saying he was positioning himself to get a
I believe
position.
so.
Well, I mean, it's...
Yeah, well, neither here nor there because he's there already. And I guess the question is he going to do a good job as, head of operations for the Lakers? Yes or no? You say no. Jinno says yes. Let's get to it. So what do you think, Aaron? Who do you think you side with these arguments?
I will go with Jinno because of the fact that it's really not Magic that will be making all of those moves. I mean, like Jinno said, he's just going to be the new face of the franchise again. And I mean, if there's any face you can trust, that if you're a free agent, Magic is a good face to trust. Yeah. So the one thing that I will take out of this is that it's going to be very important this coming off season and next off season. If Magic doesn't make any moves that will make the Lakers better, then people will start to question if he was and they will just stay away from him as much as possible. And he needs to make the right moves immediately. He needs to make some impact, and that first round pick this year will be very, very important.
Well, they have to get the top 3.
Yeah,
guys, I agree with Jinno in terms of the job description of the general manager and the president for basketball operations. But the thing is, my feeling is that baka ito si Magic Johnson will do something, that will overtake the job of a general manager.
Mo, what do you think?
Listen, I think by default the Lakers are going to do fine because they're setting themselves up for, what would be a decent future, draft picks, young players that are well regarded, and hopefully one of them bites and becomes a star. I think Magic being there is because the Lakers need a star. They've had Kobe Bryant as their star factor for all of these years, and now that he's gone, it's almost like when you don't have a polarizing Laker figure there, it's not the Lakers. So while they're grooming to find the next big thing, what do? You bring the biggest thing you've ever had and Magic Johnson, and you bring him in and you kind of patch things up. What I found weird about this debate is there was so much reference to goddamn Twitter when I think, it just doesn't play a factor in any of these things. Magic Johnson is a recognizable superstar that the Lakers need from being Hollywood. They need something to fill in the void while they're waiting for one of their young players to grow into the star that they hope they become, or they bring someone in where Magic is going to be, I think, very helpful in. He'll be, like Jinno said, be able to bring in meetings and maybe sign a star or two that the Lakers desperately need to sell their tickets now that Kobe's no longer there. And I think just out of default, out of habit, the Lakers will always be relevant and eventually be a contender, once their young group starts to take off, which we hope they do. I think he's going to do a fine job. We don't know what he's going to be as an executive, but as we know, as a player, he demanded excellence from his teammates, and I think he's going to demand excellence from this team. He loves the Lakers. He loves the brand. He's very much associated with it.
The city,
and he
too.
doesn't like to see he doesn't like to see them fail. And I think that competitiveness is going to rub off with the players. They'll be scared to piss off Magic Johnson. I think you see a lot of smiles with Magic, but behind those smiles is a very competitive, maybe you could even say cutthroat player who wants to succeed. And if you're desperate to succeed, success will come. So I think he's going to do a fine job over there. And let's not worry about Twitter too much. Let's worry about him bringing in some big names and the development of some of these players and get attention back on the Lakers again. So people might want to go there.
All right, Dennis. Well, thank you for joining us here on the show, man.
Sure. No problem. And it's just that my stand is that my belief is that Magic Johnson may try to overdo things. And I hope to talk to you
might.
guys
I mean,
in
the
next year or
competitive,
two.
his competitive nature might make him overdo things. But I think if there's a person who's got the charm and has the heart, the resume to back it up, to be able to still kind of, I don't know, cover mistakes, Magic Johnson might be the guy. Listen, Isaiah Thomas was really charming as well. He's kind of screwed up the Knicks big time. So we don't know, as Jinno said. But I think the Lakers are destined to always be a pretty good team. They'll have bad years, but it won't be an extended. They're like the Yankees. They're just good. They're up there, and they're always going to be up there. And maybe every now and then they'll have a bad patch, but you just can't keep them down. They're such a storied franchise. They're not like the Knicks. The Knicks look like they've been in disarray for a very long time. The Lakers don't seem to have that DNA in them.
Well, Dennis, thanks for joining us, man.
It doesn't end up being the Isaiah Thomas 2.0.
Oh, well, we will find out. We will find out. Dennis, thanks for dropping by Ball Hogs.
Thanks,
and we'll have you again soon, all
We
right?
appreciate it.
Pleasure to talk to you.
All right.
Thanks.
You.
And
Bye-bye.
I guess that wraps up the show. Yeah, man, that was a long one.
Was he a Laker fan that has gone bitter, or was he a Laker hater? Does
think
anybody know?
I don't know.
Dennis?
Kind of sounds like when we had freaking Homer here with the Bulls. Like, I love the Bulls. I hate them right now.
Yeah. If you're into sadomasochism.
Right.
I can't remember if Dennis is a Laker fan or not.
He probably was a former one. And then just fell off. What can you do?
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up the
That's what it
show.
sounds like.
We'll see you guys again within the week. We're trying to do 2 episodes this week to make sure that you guys get more Ball Hogs. Until then, it's Mo Twister in LA. It's Gina Ruffino in the Digital 5 Studios. I'm Untitled. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye, guys.